Hello, hello. Today I'm covering the Reddit thread about the God of War, Heimdall and Baldur versus the God Fighters from Record of Ragnarok. The Reddit thread that's covering that. So this guy thinks God of War wins because no reason. He doesn't give any reason. He just says they can't die because mistletoe. I mean, Kratos broke his neck even without the mistletoe, right? So I don't really think that's needed, but, you know, he doesn't really care about that, this guy. This guy responds, are you fast enough? He couldn't even dodge basic boxing combos. I mean, this guy's probably gonna say Kratos is, like, MFTL plus, even though he couldn't, like, react to, like, basic shit. Like a catapult in God of War 3, like when he, attacked Hermes. Mayweather sleeps both. Oh, he said Mayweather. He can't even type right. And now he's saying that he's the god of boxing, therefore he wins. I swear, it's like, he's a god, he's a god. Like, these sort of arguments are just, like, retarded. Like, these people are just arguing based on feels. Tyson beats Heimdall. Actually, the way Kratos fights isn't that of an amateur boxer. He doesn't fight like he's trained. Did you see the same clip? You should pay attention to how he comes at anyone. He squints with the intent that he'll hit you. Oh my god. This guy's gonna call it out pretty quick. But anyone who throws a lunge, who throws a punch, throws it with the intention of hitting you. He said lunge. Guy can't spell. I swear, Redditors, they can't spell. Redditors don't know what spelling is. So, because he can't use proper boxing technique, that means he can't hit properly. Wow, both sides of this are just, high IQ. High IQ. Really high IQ. Factual statement. Well, yeah, but it took him like an hour or like a couple, like maybe a day. It took him a while. Yeah. I don't think anyone's brought this up, but if he gets completely atomized, he just dies, right? Like, is there any way that he would prevent, like, he would be able to survive just getting every cell in his body nuked? Because, like, he got knocked out from just getting his neck snapped. So. This guy thinks it's multiverse level. When the series it's getting put against here is Record of Ragnarok. And it would have as much going for it as God of War, considering it's based on myth, and that's the only thing God of War has going for it. Record of Ragnarok is multiversal and therefore wins easily. I swear both sides are just trying to highball as much as humanly possible. Might I remind you, this thread got 120 replies. And then you have people say, why do you care? Who cares? I'm like, apparently the 120 people on the thread, and apparently you, or whoever comments, you know, why would you comment on something you don't care about? Doesn't make sense. This guy's just reciting a line from the game as like a joke, I'm supposing. Factual statement. That's copium. That's copium. If if it wasn't the neck snap and it was falling into the ravine, then he would have just jumped out, as his comment later proves. He was really knocked out from having his neck snapped. You're just lying. The gods in Record of Ragnarok are not immortal. They can physically die. That means they are mortal. It means they have the capacity of death. God of War gods are the same way. Both are capable of dying. I think the only ones that can't die in fiction are like the Disney Hercules gods, because like Hades has to come up with a plan to like sap his godhood away, and that would therefore make him able to be killed. Because if he has his godhood, he can't die. At least in Disney Hercules. In God of War and Record of Ragnarok, in those series, they actually are capable of death. Like, they are capable of dying. That's a thing that happened. But if you actually watch the visuals of the Buddha versus Haijun fight, it is very clear that they are not acting on a universal scale. I mean, otherwise, a lot more than like stadium pieces would have been destroyed. Also, we don't see any like huge explosions beyond like what Thor does in the first couple of episodes of Record of Ragnarok. I mean, there isn't even anything that happens that's continental in it. It's just assumed to be strong because it's based on stuff. Like nothing in the actual game corresponds to like the power levels they think it does. The game couldn't even exist and people would still think it's strong because they're not going based on the actual series here. The temple was just a temple. Like Bruno said this. Another guy said this. I can't remember. Oh, it was Corey. Corey said it. But death itself doesn't mean anything. Like you have to be like a Puss in Boots type stand to actually use that as an argument. Thanatos has no feats of note. Also, Thanatos isn't death itself. He's the god of death. Even in Greek mythology, that's how it worked. Also, there's multiple like gods that kind of do that function. Hades is the god of the underworld. Chiron is the god of the ferryman. He ferries the souls across the river Styx. So like, there's multiple gods that like have relation to death in Greek mythology and in God of War. The God of War versions all have the same titles. So Hades is still the god of the underworld, Thanatos is still the god of death, and Charon is still the god of the ferryman. Five seconds after he got pinned by a knife, Kratos knifed his hand in and he got stuck there. So like the God of War 4 having like a feat where he smacks Jormungandr back in time, it doesn't necessarily prove anything because, you know, you also have like, for example, Record of Ragnarok Zeus, who's able to punch hard enough to stop time. So if you're gonna say that proves God of War 4 wins, you have to also say Record of Ragnarok Zeus would stomp as well. But these people don't care about the actual contents of the game. They're just saying what they're saying as to validate their mythological evidence that never happened in the game or in the God of War series in general. So now he's saying that Record of Ragnarok shouldn't be strong because it's not as popular. That's a stupid argument. True. That's a true fact there. That's also true. With how the games work in God of War, each pantheon is isolated to their own country. So like the primordials don't really affect what happens in Norway or Scandinavia, and Ymir or whatever doesn't affect what happens in Greece. That's kind of how they explain like how the world isn't flooded in Norway or Scandinavia, but it's flooded in Greece. So also Kratos took a boat to Scandinavia, so it can't be a separate like universe. If it was a separate universe, then he couldn't have took a boat to Scandinavia. Factual. The Zeus version in question has no feats, so you're kind of just saying he beat Zeus, and therefore he wins. I mean, you could say that about MCU 4 too. You could say that about Record of Ragnarok Adam as well. They also beat a version of Zeus. We're gonna see some more comments and then I'm gonna end the video. Someone needs to go on 34 and make something of that. That'd be funny. Yeah, I remember that story. I'll actually just tell it here, just so people are aware of it. It's the story of Sleipnir's birth, Odin's horse in the Norse myth. So Loki had to distract the stallion, and so he turned into a mare and distracted the stallion, and the bridge builder thus couldn't bring the, I think it was stones to and from, and so Loki ended up getting pregnant, and then he created Sleipnir, which is Odin's steed. I don't think that means anything because like Zeus has also done stuff like that in Record of Ragnarok. He beat up his father Kronos. I mean, that's not even a fair argument because, I mean, even in God of War 3, Helios is beaten by like a regular catapult. Also, these humans also have like supernatural weapons enhanced by like gods. Unless you're saying the Valkyrie enhanced like weapons are the same as just normal weapons, which isn't true. I love it how even like this guy's correcting him. And I guess that's the end of the thread here. So, hope you enjoyed me covering the thread and talking about it. I'll try to cover some more threads in the future. And I guess that's all.